Welcome to the Rayat Shikshan Sanstha's Western Region English Medium YouTube channel. Standard 7, Subject English, Lesson number 4.6 Papa Penau Special Christmas, Video number 32. Dear children, in the last video we have started the lesson 4.6 Papa Penau's Special Christmas. In today's video, we are going to see the second part of it. Papa Pena put on a special pot of coffee for his Christmas breakfast, took down the shutters and looked out of the window. The street was deserted. No one was staring at. No one except the road sweeper. He looked as miserable and dirty as ever. And well he might. Whoever wanted to work on Christmas Day? And in the raw cold and bitter freezing mist of such a morning? Papa Pena opened the shop door, letting in a thin stream of cold air. Come in, he shouted across the street cheerily. Come in and have some hot coffee to keep out the cold. The sweeper looked up scarcely able to believe his ears. He was only too glad to put down his broom and come into the warm room. His old clothes streamed gently in the heat of the stove, and he clasped both red hands round the comforting warm mug as he drank. Papa Pena watched him with satisfaction, but every now and then his eyes strayed to the window. It would never do miss his special visitor. Expecting someone, the sweeper asked at last. So Papa Pena told him about his dream. Well, I hope he comes, the sweeper said. You have given me a bit of Christmas cheer I never accepted to have. I do say you deserve to have your dream come true. And he actually smiled. When he had gone, Papa Pena put on cabbage soup for his dinner, then went to the door again. Scanning the street, he saw no one, but he was mistaken. Someone was coming. The girl walked too slowly and quietly, hugging the walls of shops and houses, that it was a while before he noticed her. She looked very tired and she was carrying something. As she drew nearer, he could see that it was a baby wrapped in a thin shawl. There was such a sadness in her face and in the pinched little face of the baby that Papa Penna's heart went out to them. Won't you come in? He called, stepping outside to meet them. You both need a warm by the fire and a rest. The young mother let him shepherd her indoors, and to the comfort to the armchair she gave a big sign of relief. I will warm some milk for the baby, Papa Pena said. I have had children of my own. I can feed her for you. He took the milk from the stove and carefully fed the baby from a spoon, warming her tiny feet by the stove at the same time. She needs shoes, the cobbler said, but the girl replied, I can't afford shoes. I have got no husband to bring home money. I am on my way to the next village to get work. A sudden thought flashed through Papa Pena's mind. He remembered the little shoes he had looked at last night. but he had been keeping those for Jesus. He looked again at the cold little feet and made up his mind. Try these on her, he said, handing the baby and the shoes to the mother. The beautiful little shoes were a perfect fit. The girl smiled happily and the baby gurgled with pleasure. You have been so kind to us, the girl said when she got up with her baby to go. May all your Christmas wishes come true. But Papa Pena was beginning to wonder if his very special Christmas wish would come true. Perhaps he had missed his visitor. He looked anxiously up and down her street. There were plenty of people about, but they were all faces that he recognized. There were neighbors going to call on their families. They nodded and smiled and wished him Happy Christmas, or beggars and Papa Penau hurried indoors to fetch them hot soup and a generous hunk of bread, hurrying out again in case he missed the important stranger. All too soon the winter dusk fell when Papa Penau next went to the door and strained his eyes. He could no longer make out the passers by. Most were home and indoors by now anyway. He walked slowly back into his room at last, put up the shutters, and sat down wearily in his armchair. So it had been just a dream after all. Jesus had not come. Then all at once he knew that he was no longer alone in the room. This was not a dream, for he was wide awake. At first, he seemed to see before his eyes the long stream of people who had come to him that day. He saw again the old road sweeper, the young mother and her baby, and the beggars he had fed. As they passed, each whispered, "Didn't you see me, Papa Pena? Who are you?" He called out, "Delivered." Then another voice answered him. It was the voice from his dream, the voice of Jesus. "I was hungry and you fed me," he said. "I was naked and you clothed me. I was cold and you warmed me. I came to you today in every one of those you helped and welcomed." Then all was quiet and still. Only the sound of the big clock ticking could be heard. A great peace and happiness seemed to fill the room, overflowing Papa Pena's heart until he wanted to burst out singing and laughing and dancing with joy. So he did come after all, was all that he said. The story was written by Leo Tolstoy. So, dear children, do understand the concept and revise at home. Thank you.